we are moving through Christmas, which means today we are looking at Luke chapter 2, verses 40 through 52.
Hope you haven't taken your Christmas tree down
That's
yet.
right. This is not Jesus, full-grown
mine's been
Jesus,
down for a week.
not little baby Jesus. This is
We
in
would expect
between-
that from you, Tim.
In between Jesus
would expect
today,
that from you.
12-year-old
Stuff over my
Jesus.
carpet.
It's already gone? It's already out? All right, well, 'tis the season. Let's get after it.
Yeah.
Leave away, spit on my Lord in every way. Yet I'm still welcome in the yard.
You get a high five. You get a high five.
Oh yeah.
I will. One of the days, I will tell them, this is your gift from Pastor Marquette.
High five. Okay, Matthew.
First 5-5.
So
last
Matthew
Sunday.
Luke chapter 2, verses 40 to 52. We find out Jesus, his folks are good, faithful, dutiful Jews who go to Jerusalem for the Passover, for the Feast of Passover, every year. This is an annual journey, a regular thing they go and do. And this time, he is 12 years old as he goes. So we've skipped some things. We don't know what happened.
Sorry,
And
Tim.
we're totally out of context again.
And right. Right.
Boy, you thought Tim was in a tirade last week.
Yeah. So they go there. Jesus is 12, and they're heading back home with the family, with the big caravan, supposedly, or something like that. But they're walking along, and they get to the end of their day. They're gonna set up camp or go on. I don't know what they do. I'm like thinking like wagon trains in my head. I'm pretty sure it's not what
It's
it
not
was.
that. No.
But
Go west, young man.
yeah, like circle the wagons. We get in there, we're fine. Cook some beans.
All sitting around the campfire playing the banjos going, where's Jesus?
Where's Jesus?
Where's
Right.
Jesus?
So they sit down and they realize
Jesus is a harmonica
Jesus-
guy, so they got.
Oh, that's how they missed him.
Where's our harmonica player?
Oh, wow.
So they don't have him. He's not there. And actually, we're set up for that. It tells us that he was not with them. He stayed behind. And so we were kind of laughing about how panicking this must just terrifying for because Mary and Joseph, though there's no indication that they fully understand all that's going to happen with their son and what's happening, but this isn't the first time that, well, not the first time. It's people have been after him before, right?
Yeah.
We talked about this last week, right?
This
People
guy named
died,
Herod,
yeah,
right?
and so you can imagine their terror and their fear. I mean, any normal parent would have anyway. And add to that it's just not safe for him, or maybe you got to imagine something that's in their minds, and they rush back. So their day's journey away. They have to get back into town. I'm assuming they get back a little faster than they got out where they were, but they don't find him right away.
3 days.
Jerusalem's a big place.
Big place.
Well, and on a feast like Passover, full of people.
Yeah.
Right? I
So-
mean,
Hack City.
Full
like
of
you were
people.
saying, it's hard enough to keep track of a few people
Yeah,
moving through
30
town, and
adults.
You all know they're
Yeah,
there.
we were all in Jerusalem not that long ago and keeping track of a little tour group, and it's like,
goodness.
man, people wander off everywhere, and if they get lost, good luck finding
It's
them.
a maze.
Right?
yeah, it is a maze.
Yeah.
It's
So-
narrow streets.
So
and
they're probably
lots of alleys.
going back to where they had stayed, or they're going wherever, but they can't find him. What we find out before we get them catching up, where is Jesus? What's he doing?
It's chilling at the temple.
Yeah,
Chilling at the temple.
that's what we'll
Yeah.
find out after 3 days.
Yeah, after 3
you
days.
find that.
He's at the temple, and we find, and as you kind of, the scene kind of is displayed before us. He's sitting down. He's asking questions. He's engaging in the dialogue of the people of God about the things of God. I mean, it's the right place to do it. All of that makes sense what doesn't make sense is a 12-year-old boy
Yeah.
who just decided not to go with mom and dad on
Yeah.
the way back to.
Except that Luke does give us the one caveat. He is 12 years old at this point.
Right.
This is the traditional age of accountability. So he's just been bar mitzvahed. He's now a son of the commandments. That's what that means.
Yeah, that's good.
And so, in essence, he is progressing in his thank you, mom and dad, for keeping me and bringing me along this long. Now my training begins. Right? And I can't do that on the road back to Nazareth. Now, I know we look at that kind of weird and we're like, what's a 12-year-old doing out there? But, to some extent, this would have been the age in which they would have said to him, in essence, you're a man
You're
now.
a man. Right.
Your choices are your own. Your destiny is now in your hands.
But again, I said, look at Mary's response to him. His first word to him is child, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not really son. I mean, our
Yeah,
English
right.
translations do son, but it's techna. I mean, so
Child.
you can see the fear, right?
Right.
He's 12. Technically, he's an adult.
Yeah.
In their culture, right?
But I mean, this is your normal motherly response,
is
even
your
fatherly
firstborn.
response of. But
The
this
one
is
who had the hit squad after him, the whole thing.
this is your 18-year-old going off to college, right? And you know you're going to let him go, but at the same time you're like, that's still my baby.
Right.
I still need to protect him.
Right.
And so there's this point of them not being willing to let go, and let him be who he's supposed to be.
Yeah. And so when they catch up to him, they're astonished. Everyone's astonished. They're all shocked about what Jesus is doing. The people gathered around in the temple, they're amazed by what he's saying, by his questions, by his answers. They're astonished that there he is, just sitting there having. And I think there's a little bit of a play on words in that. So his mother kind of gets a hold of him, and like you said, calls him a child, and like sort of chastises him, but you sense the fear, right? And if you've ever lost a kid just for like a little while, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Right.
And when you get a hold of them,
Right.
you're holding them, and there's all that like fear bubbles through you, right?
Right.
I mean, I think it's easy for us to relate to that, but it's just behold, your father and I, right? We've been searching for you, looking for like. I guess the play on words I see here is that she calls Joseph his father in a very clear term, and then he, in the very next verse, is going to speak about his father, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, I am concerned with my father.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't to downplay Joseph, obviously, and what he's done, but Joseph is not his father.
Yeah. This is a reminder to
Yeah,
his mother,
to
right?
his mother. And so he says what? What does he tell his mom?
Don't you know, right? And that's the kind of the caveat of that. Why? Well, he asks first, why were you
Why are you looking
seeking?
for
Why
me?
were you looking for me? Right? Why are you seeking me? Do you not know that in the things of my Father it is necessary for me to be? All of your English translations, or a lot of your English translations, are going to say house, but we notice that house isn't even in the text.
Yeah.
He's saying, he's kind of pointing her to what his, and again, this is the age of accountability. This is also the time in which you start taking up the profession of your father, right? And so he would, if he were Joseph's father, he would be going back to Nazareth. He would be in the trade. He would be learning from
Being a carpenter,
from
yeah,
him. Yeah, and instead we find him in the temple, in the things of his father. He is growing up in the trade of his father, in essence.
Yeah. And so it's sort of like a small reminder of who he is and what's to come, of course, but that of his identity and where things are going to lead. I mean, this journey throughout the rest of his days is going to be moving back towards this very place. He's kind of especially in Luke's gospel, always on the way back to Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if that's something that we talked about or something else, but I mean, how all the Gospels are all about how Jesus gets to the cross.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Right.
that's the story they're telling one way or
Right.
the other, and
Sure.
and that leads through that temple.
Sure. Sure.
So.
And so, so you get I think that's clearly the point of the text, and then at the tail end you get this sort of, I mean, it's sort of like a gospel kind of thing for his mother. It's sort of he goes back with them, and he submits to them.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good son
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah.
And in that time, he increases in his wisdom and stature and those things. But you get this little line here. What does Mary do with this info that she says?
Same thing she did after the shepherds, right?
Yeah.
She treasures up these things, these matters, and ponders them or in her heart, right?
Well, and Luke was probably talking to her. I mean, this is probably where he gets this from. All of this, the birth narrative, Luke 2, what we read on Christmas Day, and all those things is probably where he got all this was probably from her and John sitting there in Ephesus. When John's taking care of Mary.
So you're getting these.
This is
she's retelling this story.
And Luke is doing this orderly account, right? Luke 1 through 1 through 4, right? He's doing this orderly account because he got this from Mary, and she's telling him this story. This is what Jesus did, and it's such an interesting thing how everybody wants Jesus to be something. Even the people listening to you in this first week of the new year, right?
Yeah,
that kind of
absolutely.
thing.
Yeah.
We all want Jesus to be something in 2020.
I will do a little work for you. I just quickly did. It is not the same word as used after the shepherds.
Okay.
So here she's keeping carefully. There
She keeps it. There she
Yeah.
treasures it or something.
It's a different word. Soonero,
Okay.
I think. I forgot it already.
Yeah, and so then Jesus, he goes and he continues to grow, right? And then the next time we're going to encounter him is the arrival of John the Baptist and his coming to be anointed, to be the Christ, the Messiah, to have that anointing of God in that moment. And so it's kind of like I don't know kind of what we read into this, or kind of, because there's a lot of danger in that, I suppose, but that you get this one little glimpse of his childhood, or this, maybe that's all that's necessary. So this is a crucial time. I kind of like what Matt said, like he is a son-in-law. He is taking up his father's trade. Now he's going to go back and he's going to be a good son in Nazareth, and he's going to increase in these things. But the point is, this again is all foreshadowing where he's going to go. And the one who was named Jesus, because he will save people from their sins, is going to do just that. He's going to save people from their sins.
And it's not the same wording, but if you're looking forward to Jesus' baptism next week, we're back in Matthew, and this is the one where John doesn't want to baptize him.
Yeah.
And Jesus says,
Let it be done.
in order to fulfill all righteousness, this needs to be done. And so you've got that, it is necessary for me to be about my Father's things, and now you've got him also having to tell John, this is the way it's supposed to be.
Everybody wanting him to be something.
Right.
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 Yes,
right.
See that through the text. Everybody wants him to be something, but he's going to be exactly what he's meant to be.
Yeah.
Right.
And he knows exactly who he is.
Oh yeah.
So
Even
which-
at 12.
That'd preach pretty well too.
Sure. Yeah.
And he gives us a calling too, right? Gives us a purpose.
Right.
He knows exactly who we are,
Right.
and that sort of thing. So that'd preach pretty
All right.
easy.
Well, I hope that's helpful. Check out craftofpreaching.com for any other insights. There's always good essays there on the texts. And hope you had a good. When is
And a happy
next
New Year
day?
to you.
Happy
Yeah.
New
First
Year.
Sunday of 2020.
Yeah, an epiphany and all that good stuff. So God bless your preaching. We'll see you soon.